Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Hope you had a great weekend. Okay, on to business, beginning of the week. Our guest, first of all, this morning is Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi. He's a former Zamfara State Chairman of the Committee for the Prosecution of Armed Banditry-Related Offenses. A fine morning to you, Dr. Shinkafi.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Okay, now. Well, the news, of course, the latest news in terms of our, our efforts against insurgency, criminality, and all of that is the bandit leader in the northwest, I believe, Bello, Turji, who is now calling for negotiations. It's not a new call. So here we are going down that path. We know it is yet to be seen what the response will be from the authorities. But can dialogue end Nigeria's banditry crisis? I suppose is the question that can be derived from all of that. The Nigerian army has reportedly been making great advances in terms of decimating the enclaves of these bandits. And now that they're under pressure, this leader, who isn't the most senior, I understand, this Bello Turji is now calling for negotiations. Tell me, Dr. Shinkafi, what do you make of this?
The emergence of the criminal groups armed bandit for the first 1.5 decades started from the farmers headers clashes and between also ethnic rivalry groups, that is Hausa and the Fulani groups. The emergence of this group, how they came and group and form Kunge Gayu in 2011 with two prominent leaders who have already been neutralized by the military operatives, Buhari Daji and Kundu from Zulmi local government. Buhari Daji is from Maru local government. When the ethnic clashes started with the Hausa and Fulani by Ensake and Vigilante group, that would give birth to the emergence of the criminal group armed bandit today we are facing. And the armed bandit have been terrorizing the ongoing space in the rural communities. And that which now escalated from Zamfara State to Sokoto State to Kebbi State to Katsina State to also Kaduna State. So in the initial emergence of armed banditry commenced in Zamfara. So Zamfara is the epic center of armed bandit and the safe haven for bandit. So with the now ongoing military onslaught offenses against these criminal groups called armed bandit, many of their leaders, like Halilu Sububu, who is the most richest, most strongest, and the most well-known armed bandit across the northwestern region, up to the north central, even up to the Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, has been neutralized on 13 September by the Nigerian military. And many of the leaders of the armed bandits, Sani Black, Dan Makori, Dan Paleri, Jamilu Nazakiru, Walaba Birki, many of the leaders, even Sharme in Kaduna, the person who kidnapped Basti's higher secondary school, was gone down. So with the ongoing military onslaught, many of the armed bandit kingpins, most especially Bello Turji and his partners, are on disarray. And Bello Turji had out and come is in Shinkapi local government in Pakai. He was born and brought up in Chida village under Shinkapi local government in Kuria district. So with this ongoing military offensive, the bandit have released several video clips calling for negotiation with the authority, and he made some revelations how banditry started, and he gave condition how the banditry will end. So you see, it is two-way approach. The government should continue to apply kinetic approach, that is fire for fire approach. And at the same time, the government also should go for non-kinetic approach, that is carrot and stick approach. So the government should look at critically the combined root cause of the armed banditry and now proffer homegrown solution. But there should be a condition spelled out in the non-kinetic approach, because similar negotiation was entered by this criminal armed bandit by the Sokoto State government under the leadership of Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. And also the Katsina State governor, Aminu Bello Masari, have negotiated with the bandit in Katsina State. And at the same time, Bello Mohammed Matole initiated the peace dialogue with the bandit. But these bandits are unsincere. And the negotiation failed after some period of time. So for a negotiation to enter with this criminal group, I want you to take note that these armed bandits are not promoting any political ideology or religious ideology, but it is an economic derived opportunism and a criminal enterprise. So it is the proliferation of the weak or bad governance for many decades, and that gives an open, ungoverned space in the rural communities, and these bandits have been rampaging havoc, rapes, kidnapping for ransom, displacement of innocent people, extortion, imposition of levy, and many businesses have been stagnated. Many rural communities in the northwest, more than 2 million, are displaced and also migrated to urban areas. So these are the problem, and there is a lot of combined costs. Porosity of the border, proliferation of small drugs, weak judicial system, corruption in the system. Even there are some unscrupulous and unpatriotic security operatives who are aiding and abetting armed banditry in Zamfara State and some corrupt traditional rulers. It is very unfortunate. Just last week, a personnel of NSCDC was arrested along Sabon Gida to Mada Road, conveying 5 ammo G3 rifle, ammunitions, ammo rocket launcher, and extra drugs taken to Mada and bandit hideout. It's an ASC, Assistant Superintendent of the Corps. It is very unfortunate situation and disheartening. Somebody who has been entrusted with the responsibility of protecting lives and property, and he now derailed, and he has now demonstrated his irresponsible attitude. And the NCSDC command in Zamfara State dismiss him from the service is not enough. He should face full weight of the law and order. These are the one of the root cause. But as we go on discussion, I will be able to tell you that that is implications. That is a summary of negotiating with bandit.
Okay.
There should be a disarmament, rehabilitation, and reintegration. And it should be unconditional.
Okay. Unconditional. Because I was coming to what you have already alluded to. that you can't really trust these people because it's not as
Please,
if...
Can you come again? I'm not hearing you well.
Okay, I was saying you have already alluded to the fact that you cannot completely trust all these bandits because we've been doing that for quite a while, and it hasn't yielded much fruit. Now, you have illustrated, I think, that it's a delicate, it's a complicated operation, not an impossible one. I wonder if that has to do with what you've also stated to us, that this Bello Turji that we are talking about now, he is known. He is an indigene, a son of Zamfara, born and bred. And the implication of that is that he's a Nigerian citizen. And it has often been said that, look, it's not as if the military are incapable, but this is not an external engagement. It's not an external war. The military can't go, shall we say, full-handed against, you know, these, quite frankly, the opposition. No, opposition is not even the word. Criminals. That because they are not aggressive foreigners, and even if they were, there are rules of engagement. Is that part of the problem here, that, look, they are our own too, and therefore we cannot extend our hand of vengeance fully? Is that somehow complicating? Because here you are, there were the video reports that, the video clips that you were talking about. Turji was actually implying that the chief of defense staff was his oga, and that in some way, shape, or form they were together, and he was seeking a further cooperation. They will continue to muddy the waters. So against the backdrop of that most important element that you've spoken about, a lack of trustworthiness, are you sure this is not just a situation where they're stringing us along, biding for time, really? And then go back to that important question of, is the Nigerian military unable to deal with them thoroughly simply because they are also Nigerians?
No, I partially disagree with you. Turji propaganda of saying that Christopher Musa is his boss is a worthless and useless and mischievous propaganda. Christopher Musa, of which I have known for the first 2 decades, has nothing to do with a criminal, somebody like a Turji, somebody who is against the territorial integrity of Nigeria. So, Christopher Musa, he's from Northwest, precisely from Kaduna, and he has served in even Sokoto. He knows Shinkapi and all the terrain. So it is very mischievous, baseless, worthless, and falsehood. Turji is trying to fabricate to smear the image of the Nigerian military. And Turji have gave a historical background of when the banditry started during the period of the former governor of Zamfara State. In his clip, Amesani Yeriman Bakura. And he go on and describe how the also other previous administration have not contained the situation. You see, this fight against this criminal armed bandit is not fire for fire approach only. Because these armed bandits are unknown pace. It's a guerrilla warfare. So there should be a also collaborative effort within the people of the community who will now give a very important information to the security operatives. But the most disheartening thing, some of the local communities are engaged into banditry. Some of them are aiding and abetting this banditry. Some of them are drug suppliers. Some are sewing military uniform, police uniform. Some are supplying arms and ammunition. some are supplying drugs, some are supplying fuel, some are supplying bread, and many other. It has a value chain. Some people have been incorporated who have now made the fight against this armed banditry very complex. Some of the local community are giving information about the military operation. Maybe if there is any report of armed banditry attack in a community, when the military are passing by in a junction, where you see this Okada junction, some now will now ride the Okada and rush and relate the information to the armed bandit kingpin that the military are coming to attack them. So it's an organized crime. Even the armed bandits have been recruiting informants. People who have been giving them information about the security movement. So with the present security onslaught, Minister of State for Defense Bello was directed, and the Chief of Defense Staff, to relocate to 8th Division of the Nigerian Army, Sokoto, to coordinate this fight against armed bandits. And it has yielded result. For 2 weeks now, it has yielded a very positive result. There is a minimal, drastic reduction on daily basis attacks in Zamfara, Katsina State, and Sokoto State. Because Halilu Chububu, as I have said earlier, is one of the wealthiest, strongest armed bandit in the northwest region and even in the north central. Because he sells arms, he gave arm on hire, he sells uniform, he sells excellent drugs, he sells motorcycle. You understand? And he coordinates, he's an illegal miner. He mines solid minerals. You know Zamfara State is blessed with the natural resources, that's the mineral resources. So most of these armed bandits, if they hide out, it is where there is a rich or potential mineralization area in Zamfara State. So they mine this gold, lithium, metallic minerals, which are very expensive. So these are some of what is sustaining the armed banditry. Even the payment of ransom is what is sustaining the armed banditry. So there should be an intensive military offensive. And people who have been distracting this operation, distracting Minister of Defense for State, Bello, calling him all kinds of names, and also distracting Chief of Defense Staff, and also the National Security Advisor, should desist. It's a serious disservice to the nation. Because these criminal elements are enemies of the state, and they need to be crushed out totally. Indeed. And what do you make also of what's coming from, well, the political aspect of it, if one can call it that? I'm talking here about the incumbent governor in Zamfara. Also taking shots at the Minister of State for Defense, just complicating the whole environment. Of course, the minister has repeatedly denied all the allegations, but you've done an excellent job. You've done an excellent job all those allegations. Based operation. Please continue. All those allegations are baseless, worthless, mischievous, and fabricated lies to blackmail the Minister of State for Defense. Let me tell you, it is on record. Bello, when he was a governor, he initiated a peace dialogue with this armed bandit. And when he initiated that peace dialogue, I sat in a committee which was headed by Inspector General of Police, retired, MD Abakar. The name of the committee is Committee for Finding Lasting Solution to Armed Banditry. So that committee, we have worked tirelessly for the period of 4 months, and we submitted our recommendation, our reports. And on that committee, during the conciliation period, we were able to disband the vigilante group and Ensake, which Turji was calling for. And all the lands which Turji was also talking about, from 1999, the period of Ahmed Sani Erim Bakura, to 2019, for the 2 decades, Matole revoked all the land allocation and palm land allocated to the traditional rulers and farmers. Because most of these lands, or palms land, are grazing reserve, forest reserve, and also cattle route. So these are some of the complaints. When we go around the 17 Emirates in Zamfara State, these are some of the complaints raised by these Fulani leaders and some of their Mieti Allah cattle breeders. So on the issue of this allegation the governor is making, when I heard it, I laugh, because the governor, when he was not a governor, during his election campaign, he promised to crush this armed bandit and also restore peace and tranquility in Zamfara State within 100 days in office. So when now he assumes the mantle of leadership as a governor of Zamfara State, he comes to realize, he woke up from his nightmare and realized that he doesn't have such power to fight this armed bandit. And he was there, he now realized that the military, the security chiefs, are not under his control. And now he's somersault and reverse back his gear, trying to apportion blame to his predecessor. The predecessor, Matawale, there was a brief air about 9 months when he initiated that peace dialogue. Some politicians have been using this armed banditry, toying with the life of the people and the properties of innocent people for political gains. When the governor of Zamfara State, present governor of Zamfara State, was going around the Potun local government during the election campaign, he was using this insecurity as a yardstick, as a weapon, in also campaigning against the incumbent Bello as at that time. And that's what gave him popularity, because of the campaign promises. Now he has failed. He's now trying to hide under the of his Bello to artificially import blames that Matawale is aiding banditry. So it is very unfortunate situation. It's only in Zamfara State you see people who are toying with the life of people, especially those on the mantle of leadership. You cannot find those campaigns in Katsina. You cannot find it in Niger. You cannot find it in Kaduna. You cannot find it in Sokoto. You cannot find it in Kebbi. But Zamfara State politicians are very terrible people. They can go to extra mile. They can go put it on record. They can go to extra mile to blackmail, to brandish, to concoct any stories against their political opponent for political reasons. So all those calls the governor is in is a political statement. Many prominent people, especially Senator Shehu Sani, has cautioned the governor to face governance. Former governor of Zamfara State, Ahmed Yerima, Abdulaziz Yari, many prominent indigenes of Zamfara State have now cautioned the governor to concentrate on governance and fulfill his campaign promises. So there is no room for playing games or apportioning blame. Let him accept the responsibility of governance. Let him accept the assets and liability. He is the one who campaigned he wants to become a governor, and he has to accept such responsibilities.
Well, thank you, Dr. Shinkafi. We'll take a quick break now. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. We'll take calls as soon as we come back from the break. Welcome back. And so we're looking at the advances of the military in the northwest, especially in Zamfara, where they're beating back all these armed bandits. And they have called, Bello Turji has called for a ceasefire, or more particularly, he has called for negotiations, which they tend to do historically once they're under serious pressure. Our guest is Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi, former, chairman in Zamfara of the Committee for the Prosecution of Armed Banditry-Related Offenses. And in the meantime, Uche in Nnewi, thank you very much for holding on, has called in. Good morning, Uche. Good morning, Uche in Nnewi.
Yeah, good morning, Yari.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Yeah, this is Uche. I'm calling from Nnewi. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for calling. Thank you for holding on. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, our honorable dear.
Dr. Shinkafi.
Yeah, this is Uche. I'm calling from Nnewi. I don't just understand something, there are things that I might just ask it as a question, expecting that my honorable answer. For instance, the mineral resources he is talking about in Zamfara. We are meant to understand that mineral resources are under the exclusive list. So it's under the federal government. So why some of the mineral resources, for instance, the oil, under the federal government, and the gold is now like, is it in the hands of the state government or in the hands of the bandits? I don't understand. That's by the way. That's number one. Then secondly, when this question is being asked, or rather, the bandit leader, Turji, is talking about negotiation. Is the bandit leader in the position to talk about negotiation? I thought it's the federal government or the state government supposed to initiate negotiation, and not the other way around. I don't understand.
Okay.
When we are saying we are practicing federal system of government, and the truth of the matter is that we are practicing unitary system of government. Is that all about all this? I don't understand. So
okay.
That is my question. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Uche. As you know, these are criminal elements, criminal altogether, and we've just told you that historically, whenever they are under pressure, and they certainly are under pressure now with the onslaught of the army, that's when historically they have begun to call for negotiations. But let me, Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi, he asked the questions to you, and he also asked the question. Again, you'll be able to address.
First and foremost, let me answer your first question. The issue of mineral resources, as you know, as you have mentioned earlier, constitutionally is under exclusive list. The rights of giving license, either exploration license, recognition permit, small and scale mining lease, all like quarry lease, sand use of sand and water use license lies under Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals under mining cadastre. And all these things are under exclusive list. The states has no any rights over the approval of mining permit or granting license to mining operators. So these are clearly under exclusive list, lies under the power of the federal government. And like you have mentioned, in the Niger Delta, all the oil blocks, crude oil drill, but both the oil and the reserves are under exclusive list, are under the power of the federal government. It's only the federal government has the right to give OML license to prospective expertise or indigenous company. So that all those gold mines you are talking about. I beg your pardon. The gold mine is not.
Sorry, Dr. Shinkafi, I beg your pardon for interrupting you. That answers one part of Uche's question. We're going to come back to the other half of it. But in the meantime, I have George who has called in from Lagos. So as to not to keep him too long, let me take him on, and then you'll be able to respond to the second half of Uche's question. And we'll also hear from Mr. George calling in from Lagos. Go right ahead, please, Mr. George. Okay, it does look as if we're having a problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, Uncle Yori, can you hear me?
Yes, if you're watching television, I'm giving you hand signals. In case you are having a difficulty.
Hello, Uncle Yori, can you hear me?
I'm giving you a hand signal that yes, yes,
I can hear you, but since you can hear me, I want to say good morning and good morning to Dr. Shinkapi.
Okay.
Uncle Yori, we have been saying it that these bandits, these criminals, that it shouldn't be an issue for government to tackle. You can see now that within a few weeks that the government has decided that they want to face them, they are already on their knees. How can you, the government, you have 12 Tucanos. Buhari bought 12 Tucano jets. And I understand the president has also bought more. One Tucano jet, you can stay in Lagos and target somebody in Ibadan and bring him down with precision. You have such equipment, and bandits are ruling all over the country. They don't allow people to go to the farms. People are hungry, no food because of them. People cannot move from one place to the other. They have come to the extent of flaunting money on social media that they collected from people. You can see that it is not as difficult as it was made, or that we were made to look, that to tackle these criminals. I want to thank the president for the initiative, and I want to urge him not to relent or not to succumb to pressure by anybody that may want to come under any guise to discourage him. I want to thank the guest. He has made many statements that some of us did not know before, as someone who is on the ground there. I thank him for being truthful. Nigeria should have no reason to negotiate with any criminal. These are criminals. It's not a war between organized soldiers and the state. They are just criminals. For government to sit down and be negotiating with criminals is a disgrace, and we should not encourage such a thing.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. George. Really appreciate your call. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. George. Dr. Shinkafi, okay. I think there was another aspect of the question from Uche in Inewi. Did you want to relate to that? And you might be able to... Okay.
I will summarize. The issue of the gold mine he was talking about, let me remind him, these people are a group of criminals.
Yes.
And where they are in their hideout is an ungoverned space. And the topography of their hideout, the terrain is not motorable, especially during rainy season. So likewise in the Niger Delta, there is militant who engage in oil bunkering, vandalization of 5 lines. So he has to put it in a record. These are merely criminals. They are not acting within the ambit of the law or within the authority of the states.
Okay.
And these are non-state actors. That is the summary. So on the issue of the negotiation with the bandit, you know, this banditry has now brought some psychological and emotional trauma. That is, it has brought down the socio-economic indices down, put insecurity, education backwardness, bad road networks. So I share some opinion with many Nigerians that the government should not negotiate with the bandit. They should go on with the onslaught. If maybe most of the leaders are being neutralized, then the other fighters will be on the run. Because from Shinkapi, Sokoto, Gundumi, Sabon Birni Road, up to Anka, where this Halilu Sububu has a strong base there and his fighters. Now they are in this area. You can go to Sokoto, from Shinkapi, Sabon Birni, Goronyo, Urno Rapa, without anybody kidnapping you or terrorizing you on the road. So it has yielded positive result. And with what the president did, it has restored the confidence of Nigerians that this government is ready to fight insecurity and brought these criminals to their knees.
Okay, let me bring on Reverend Dominic, who has called in. Good morning, Reverend. Reverend Dominic, can you hear us?
Good morning, Yori. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, please. We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Good morning, Reverend.
Reverend Father, I'm hearing you very well.
To continue where my friend George stopped. We shouldn't negotiate with these elements. One, we shouldn't negotiate with these elements. If their back is at war now, the federal government should sustain war. And Yori, this your guests have vindicated, and most of us in this station, that the politicians, as he said, was pretending they don't know these people. And I keep saying this thing every day, that the politicians in all the states where there's banditry and terrorism know these people by their names. They're not strangers. But your guests have visited me. Look at how he mentioned their names. But before, they were playing ostrich that put his head on the soil and think that the world is at peace. They know them, and now Mr. President has come with the political will to wipe them away, to remove or to stop banditry in Nigeria, not in Nigeria 3 months. I've said it before. It's a matter of political will. Now we have it. Look at the results. In Zamfara State, sir, the witness, there's no politician in Zamfara State that could be insulted by what is happening in Zamfara State. As he said, every one of them are culpable, one way or the other. Either morally, or if they don't know strong, or they don't have the will to fight it. Now we have a will to fight it. Mr. President has bypassed him and used the military might. Look at what is happening. Anyone that's thinking about negotiation is an enemy of this nation. Let them face the heat. Let them run away, or they die, or they allow Nigeria to have a breathing space. God bless you.
All right, Reverend Dominic, thank you. You know, the line was a bit difficult, but we did hear you. Now, Dr. Shinkapi, I wanted to ask you, the role of the traditional... Okay, the role of traditional rulers in there, are they completely lacking in influence? How can these... We understand they can be running from other forms of authority, but surely the closest to them are the traditional rulers. So what's going on there? Are they completely lacking in influence?
You see, the traditional rulers are lacking of influence to command or to govern their territorial area, and the most disheartening and heartbreaking, some of these traditional rulers are accomplices, are aiding and abetting this armed banditry. During Governor Bello administration, he brought up many measures how to curtail this armed banditry and bring it down to the minimal BRS level. He shut down the communication network. He closed markets. He closed some parks, cattle market. He had even closed a border police stations. But some of these traditional rulers are being even indicted, who are even collecting ransom on the behalf of this armed bandit. The emir of Dansada was dethroned for aiding and abetting armed banditry during Bello administration. The emir of Maru was stripped of his throne for aiding and abetting armed banditry. And also some of the district heads. The emir of Zurmi was also dethroned for aiding and abetting armed banditry. And some of these village heads, in some elements, and some district heads, even in our committee report, we indicted about 6 emirs who are accomplices. We have also indicted more than 33 district heads, and we indicted more than 200 village heads. So some of these traditional rulers have afraid of if you cannot beat them, you join them. Oh, so these are some of the difficulties. Most of these bandits are the ones who are in charge. All the government in the are under siege of armed bandits. What the Reverend said, These armed bandits are indigenous. 80% of them are indigenous. Each and every armed bandit kingpin, the Kachala, in Zurmi local government, there is a Kachala there who's in charge. Goska is there, Black is there, Standard is there, Danchaki, many of them who are in charge of that catchment area. So Turji, he's in charge of Shinkapi and part of Zurmi and part of Maradun, Ebehi of Sokoto East. So this Halilu Sububu is in charge of many local government, Anka, Maradun, Shinkapi, Isa Sabombrini, and Rapa in Sokoto State. Adamu Aleru. Many of these kingpins, all, let me put it in summary, all these armed bandits who I have said, who get back to the group of deep banditry and escalate after the killing of Buhari Ndaji and Kundu. So these splinter groups now spread to 100 groups. And each of these group of armed bandits has not less than 300 to 1,000 fighters, these criminals. So what I have, I'm in the opinion, general opinion, that the commitment and the political will Mr. President demonstrated, he's clearly demonstrated he can now uphold his campaign promises of renewed hope agenda for providing security of lives and property. But what we are saying, there should be an intensive offensive on these criminals in the hideout. And those who are also, let me also come back to the reverend question. There is also a conspiracy of silence by the previous administration, and there was no political will and commitment. So the military are overstressed,
the Buhari administration.
So they should be fully funded and fully motivated.
When you say previous, you're talking about the Buhari administration.
Yeah. Hello?
You were speaking about there also was the complication of a conspiracy of silence by the previous administration. That is, you know, the Buhari administration.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the first 1 decade, on the part of the government at all levels, that is the federal government, state government, and local government, most of this issue of banditry report are only reported on social media platform, are not on these conventional medias. So some of these governors, because they are using it to gain political popularity or to be using it for political gains, have now don't want to come to public to tell them, yeah, look, oh boy, I have problem, come and assist us. Section 14, subsection 2B, make it clear. The primary responsible of any government is to provide security of and property and welfare of its people. So with what Mr. President is doing, he has restored confidence that this government is ready to face these criminals squarely. Not west and not central.
I beg your pardon. Let me try and squeeze in Farouk, who has called in from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Farouk.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Glory.
Okay, please go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Okay.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
So, Yori, Doctor, good morning, Dr. Shinkafi.
Good morning.
Well, Dr. Shinkafi, it is not only the governor that was accusing Matawale of aiding and abetting the bandits. Even some Islamic clerics in videos, they have accused Matawale, and they have said they can see it before him. They're giving instances. So it's not only the governor that is that's accusing Matawale of aiding and abetting the bandits. Even some prominent Islamic clerics in Zamfara State, which I'm sure Dr. Shinkafi must have heard of the videos. So that is it.
Yeah, you see, what we are trying to say, there is no a clear Islamic cleric from Zamfara State who's accusing or blackmailing Matawale for aiding and abetting banditry. The Islamic cleric is being sponsored, is politically motivated. Murtala Asada from Sokoto State, let me mention the name directly. So, and also, if you, Mr. Paruku, are a Muslim, you know the grievous consequences of swearing with the Holy Quran. Matawale have challenged all the indigenous of Zamfara State, including our leaders. He swore with the Holy Quran that he has no hand in anything to do with banditry. And if he's not happy, if he's happy with what is happening on issue of the banditry, that Quran should receive the heavier or severe
we've run out of time. I do beg your
You as a Muslim, you know the consequences of swearing with Holy Quran. So somebody will not sacrifice life and take a Holy Quran. Like a Christian, any petful Christian petful will not carry a Holy Bible and swear with Holy Bible. So to
we're going to have to leave it there. I beg your pardon, Dr. Sani Abdullah.
And those who are even
distracting Matawale, run out of time. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm so very sorry. I think there's also a delay between us, between when I speak and when you hear. But I wanted to thank you. I would say we've run out of time. What you said is that, yep, dialogue can indeed end Nigeria's banditry crisis, but it has to be a dual, a multi-pronged approach. That much you said in the light of the insincerity in the past that Nigerians have suffered at the hands of these attempts to, dialogue with these bandits. Well, I want to thank you very, very much for your insight, Dr. Sani Abdullah Hishim, former Zamfara State Chairman of the Committee for the Prosecution of Armed Banditry related offenses. Thank you very much for coming on our program, sir.